Hello, my international professionals. This is Storani and and
Shauna
Sean.
Kane.
Yes, our consultant, our senior consultant, here in our channel again with you to discuss about the world, recruitment, career issues, challenges, solutions to help
Mhm.
you even more to get a job abroad. So today, what's our topic today, Shona?
So this evening we are going to cover a little bit of one that we've been seeing bubbling up, I guess over the last couple of years, and but particularly in the last months, and that is challenges that candidates are having with recruiters. So any sort of blockade or barrier that you're having regarding relationship with recruiters, and specifically we're looking at third-party recruiters. That's a big one that comes up, but we'll dive into that in a little bit more detail now in a moment.
Exactly. So today is the day where you can actually complain.
Yes, we
You
want
can-
you to.
I really want to hear your stories. I really want to hear, like what you've been through. I know a few stories. Shona
Yeah,
also knows stories, like of
yeah.
bad behaviors, bad practices,
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
right?
And they do happen. So don't be shy to tell us. It's important that we know so that we can better help you. And also, guys, these stories and these lives are saved. So recruiters watch them as well. So it's really good for them, for their own self of, I guess, we all want to be critiqued. It's important to be better at what we do, to be the best that we can be, to be critiqued. So this feedback is as beneficial for the recruiters as it is for you, the job seeker.
Exactly. And just for your information, a FYI, as we say, here we are going to talk about human behavior,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
characteristics
Yeah.
and personalities.
Yeah.
And we know, like, each one is different. Each one of us is different. Sometimes, like the recruiter personality, it clashes the candidate personality.
Yes,
And I'm not
absolutely.
saying, like the recruiter, the candidate's wrong or right, but there are, struggles and
Mhm.
challenges through the recruitment process. And that's what we want to, highlight.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we are not gonna throw stones in anyone or just,
Mhm.
like say who is bad, who is wrong.
Exactly.
It's just, like our opinion and
Mhm.
our point of view
Mhm.
in relation to some behaviors and some practices that we don't feel right for
Yeah,
the candidates. Of course,
exactly.
there are some candidates that are not good as well. Like,
There
yeah.
are, sadly.
So we are not gonna go into that, all right? Um, Tarcisio, he's always here. Hello, Tarcisio.
Hi,
Good.
good evening. Welcome.
He's always online here with us.
Good, good. We like our regular followers.
Yes, he is a regular. Okay, so you start, Shona. What's
Sure.
the first characteristic or bad behavior you see from recruiter?
So typically, just before I dive into the list, I guess where our perspective is interesting on this is obviously candidates come, they purchase our services, they want to boost the morale, they want to boost their understanding of the market, they want to know how to better communicate with recruiters. And so often when candidates come to us, we're almost the middle between the candidate and the recruiter. So we're there as your support, we're there as your partner, we're there to offer you advice. And so, what we find is a lot of candidates really confide in us. They share their experiences with us. And sadly, yes, we have seen candidates who are quite upset or feeling quite low and demotivated and demoralized after a bad experience with recruiters. So, I guess we have a unique perspective in that candidates actually share these experiences with us. So that's what we're hoping to relay to you, is first of all to let you know that you're not alone if you've had a poor experience with a recruiter, and how you might be able to tackle it in a way that serves you for the future. So what I would say is always remember that there's two types of recruiters. We've got our internal recruiters, or talent acquisition specialists, typically as they're known. And the relationship with talent acquisition specialists classically is a more interesting relationship because it's a very different way of sourcing talent. And then there is the third party avenue, which is a recruitment consultant. Hello, Raziel. Which is a recruitment consultant, which is what I used to do many, many years ago. And that's a third party or an external recruiter. And that's a lot more high volume, it's fast paced, and there's a lot less time for building that personal relationship. So try to remember that there are two different channels that you're going through. Regardless, you still should be treated with the respect that you deserve. But it's just to let you know that those expectations may vary slightly depending on how you're going through the recruitment process. But looking at one of, I guess, the primary pieces of feedback that I receive is recruiters who overpromise and underdeliver. So what we mean there is, a client might say, "Oh, Sean, a recruiter called me today. They told me they love my profile. They have the perfect job for me. I can't wait. I think I found my job." And then it becomes about us having to manage that expectation to say that a recruiter, particularly a third party recruiter, acts almost like a salesperson. So they're pitching the job to you and pitching you to the company. So they go in for the big sell, which means they will promise the dream. What's really important for you, the candidate, to do is to manage that experience. So rather than absorb it and immediately think, yes, I've got the job, be practical, ask questions. What's the deadline for the role? What's the competition like? How many am I up against? When are you making a decision? Asking for a direct contact telephone number and email of the person who called you so that you can stay in touch. It does become about you taking ownership of that process as well. And don't be scared to do so. Remember, it's always a 50-50 relationship between a candidate and a recruiter. They've got the job, but you've got the talent. So don't be scared to go into that process with a certain expectation. So over promising, or them promising you your dream job and then under delivering. Maybe they stop contacting you. Maybe the job is nothing at all what you imagined. So like I said, hold the recruiter accountable to ensure that they're giving you the delivery that they're claiming to give. But do also remember, for a third party recruiter, you are dealing a bit with a salesperson. So you've got to keep your own expectations surrounding the job somewhat managed. So that's definitely one of the big pieces of feedback that I would see.
Yes.
And another one, I guess, sorry?
I think it's important to always to also remember that big promises always comes with, big promises and not delivering. It's like also lack of communication. Comes with a lack of communication.
Yeah.
And they want to, they are selling the role, and because the role they are selling, most of the time, the candidates doesn't understand what the job description says, right?
Yeah, it's very true.
There is a lack of communication. So remember that, guys.
Absolutely. And remember as well that you're not the only person being sold that dream. In the same hour, there's probably another 5 candidates being hunted by the recruiter. So just manage your expectations always to avoid being disappointed.
Exactly.
So that certainly for me would be one of the first big ones. Another one would be not providing enough information about the job. So I've had candidates who say, "Oh, I got called by a recruiter. They want my CV for a job." And then I'll say, "Oh, so tell me a bit more about the position." And they will say, "Oh, I didn't really understand what the job was." So there's a huge lack of communication. Again, what Tana said there, happening from the recruiter. And it is your responsibility. Remember, guys, you have to take ownership over your own job processes as well. It is your responsibility to say to the recruiter, "Send me the job description. Here's my email address. Send me all the information you have about the job and about the client, because otherwise recruiters do have a tendency to be very vague. Oh, I have a great role. It's in sales. Send me your CV and I'll give you more information. But actually your CV is your property. So you can say at that point, well, can you tell me a little bit more about the position before I send my CV? By establishing, you're taking control of that process, and you will
Yeah.
gain the respect of the recruiter by taking that sense of leadership in the process.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Because what you candidates don't understand is that recruitment, it's both ways.
Mm,
It's not only the recruiter searching
yeah,
for the best talent, but also you are the best talent, you are the
yeah,
talent, you are their product,
yeah,
okay? So you actually should, like do the same.
totally.
You should, like if you actually should ask, like questions about the job. You should
Hmm.
ask question about the process. You should actually, like uh, just not create not it's not a barrier, not create a barrier, but
Hmm.
like create a respect
100%. 100%.
over you
Yeah.
and like over your experience.
Uh-huh. Oh, completely. Because think about it, if you have two candidates on the phone and one of them is like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll send my CV," and the other one is like, "Okay, certainly, I'm very interested about this position. Can you give me more information? Here's my email address. Please send me the job description. I'd be delighted to send my information." Immediately, you're sounding like the professional. It feels much more like an interesting relationship. So don't
Mhm.
be scared to take the driving seat in this.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Because
So if you're not,
some people thinks, like this could create a barrier. This could, like create like a
yeah.
awkward situation, but actually
Yeah,
don't.
I totally agree, because guys, we've come so far in the world of recruitment and human resources. Going back 10, 15 years ago, it's true. Everyone was scared of human resources and
Yes, everyone.
recruiters, and there was this sense of respect and hierarchy. It's not like that now. And to begin the relationship well with that sense of respect and open channels of communication, you can demand that respect from the recruiter. So really don't be scared of it. If anything, it puts you in value to show that you're straightforward, that you're direct, that you know what you want. These are qualities. They're not deficits, they're qualities to have in a candidate. So,
Yes.
definitely, if you feel that the information is too vague from the recruiter, ask for it. And equally, if when you ask for it and the recruiter is not willing to give it, personally, I'd be walking away from that process. If the recruiter is not willing to give you information about the process and about the job, and it's all very vague, then there is a massive chance that they are just collecting data for a pipeline of talent, and there's actually no position there. So don't be scared to walk away from something if it doesn't sound genuine.
Yes, exactly.
So, another one would be reaching out to the candidates about irrelevant roles. So, I've had candidates say, "I recruiter called me and asked me if I wanted a sales position, but I'm a technical support agent. Why?" And this is super frustrating. And sadly, there's no magic answer. This is just poor processes on behalf of the recruiter. It's them not really taking the time to analyze your profile. But that is where it becomes so important to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is maximized. Correct skills are in place, correct job titles are in place, a strong headline that clearly indicates who you are and what you want.
Mhm.
Because sometimes if a LinkedIn is too vague, like if you've had lots of different experience, it's not really streamlined, then the recruiter is taking a chance. So to avoid those kind of calls, try to have your profile as streamlined as you possibly can.
Yeah. Or sometimes, recruiters, they send messages, like
Mm,
LinkedIn messages, in a
yeah.
bulk
Yes.
message, like a bulk email, let's say
Yeah.
like this. Like they just create the filters and then comes up, let's say 2,000 candidates
Yeah.
match, like that specifics, and the recruiter just, like
Hit
send
send.
Yeah, he sent the same message to
Yeah,
all 2,000 candidates.
yeah.
And don't think, like he actually took time to check and analyze your LinkedIn. Mm-mm.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is really frustrating. Unfortunately, there will always be situations like that. But similar for you as a job seeker, sometimes you're going to send and I definitely love that kind of content. Thank you for it. You're so welcome. Um, but sometimes it happens to us as well. The job seeker, we reach out to a recruiter and they're like, but why? I'm in charge of multilingual tech and you're a salesperson. Why are you reaching out to me? So mistakes can happen, but it is important to do the best you can to avoid that, because ultimately what that is time wasting, and you don't want that. Job seeking is a full-time job. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing the use of your time, and avoid those kind of unfruitful, unnecessary communications.
Yes.
Um, and then finally, the big feedback I've got on my side from candidates as a frustration is treating the candidate as though they are property rather than a partner or a client. So this is a big one, guys, particularly for international professionals, because you are adapting to a new language, to a new culture. You're trying to understand, okay, how does it work here? How do people do this here? So you're already maybe feeling insecure in your job searching, or feeling like you don't have your full confidence. And the reality is that a good recruiter should make you feel valued and should make you almost feel like a client. They should really make you feel that they are taking care of your CV and where it goes. So what I would say to candidates who have been talking to recruiters that are treating them poorly or disrespectfully is to really rethink that relationship and ask yourself, is this the partnership that you want? Um, Personally, if I have a bad feeling with someone, and this goes from being on the recruiting chair to the person I'm interviewing, and then also as the candidate, if the relationship doesn't feel fluid and it's not a relationship of trust, then what I would typically do is try to outline it from the beginning and say, look, I'm really interested in this position. I really hope you push my CV in the right way, but we're going to have to be mindful here about the communication, because I really feel that you're not communicating to me, or I really didn't appreciate the tone of that last email. Don't be scared to be assertive and to have dignity over your job application, because a good recruiter will treat you properly. And if they don't, then I would have serious questions about that process.
Yes. Actually, that's uh, one of the issues that
Mhm.
happen a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Complaints about from my clients that
Mm,
sometimes they're mistreated
yeah.
during
This
it.
is horrible. Horrible.
It is an issue. It is.
It is
It
an
is.
issue.
It's
It
a
is an issue. I've seen it too. Mm.
so it's bad process, bad practice,
Yeah.
and of course, everyone have bad days, and maybe the recruiter had a bad day that day.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's possible, but it is very sad for the candidate when it happens, because, as you know, you can have 10 great experiences, but if you have one bad one, that's the one that you remember. And that's the one that makes your confidence fall.
Well,
So,
yeah,
yeah, straight away. And it's really hard when it happens, like similar to Tana. And I guess we'll share a few stories now with you, but I've had a candidate in the past who's a recruiter almost mocked their level of English, which was
yes,
incredibly bad practice. And what I
yes.
would say is, if it's horrible, and if you
I
do
remember
ever,
it was a
yeah,
girl, right?
yeah, and
Right.
she was very emotional about it. Yeah, very, very emotional about it, and rightly so, and rightly so. What I would be doing personally in that situation, if I was ever reduced to feeling that someone had taken a personal attack on me, I would be asking or communicating with a senior member of the team and letting them know, look, I've had this interaction.
Yeah.
Um, it was very unprofessional. I left the meeting feeling
Yes.
very undervalued, um, because a good recruitment agency will want their recruiters to work in line with best practices.
Yeah.
They will not want a member like that on their team, and that does deserve a disciplinary conversation, to be honest.
Definitely. Yeah. I would definitely send an email to the
Yeah,
manager.
same. Absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate.
I had a case where, a client of mine said the recruiter, after
Hmm.
an interview, said straight away, you know, like he didn't pass the interview because the level of English, and and which is okay. It
If
is a
it's
point.
delivered well.
It is actually, you know, like a some positions they need a, you know, like very fluent level of English. However, the recruiter, you know, like not only said that, the recruiter said, I don't think you're going to get a job, you know, like with your level of English, assuming and imposing his belief into the candidate.
My
And
goodness.
that's such a bad practice because,
Yeah,
come on, this, you know, like you can demotivate and you can actually create a trauma with the
absolutely.
person.
Yeah, of course you can. A good recruiter, if they have to deliver critical feedback, and sometimes it is necessary, we've both had to do it in our careers, but there is a way to do it where you might say, look, I've really enjoyed the interaction. I have noticed, however, that for this particular position, your language may not be to the level it needs to be. Here are some
Exactly.
resources. Why don't you freshen up and come back to me in a couple of months? There's a way to deliver critical feedback. And if you feel that a recruiter has spoke to you in a way that is disrespectful, do not hesitate in contacting a senior member of the team. You deserve to be treated with the necessary respect. You're a candidate, regardless of the success of the interview or not, or interaction or not. You do deserve to be interacted with respect.
Exactly. Exactly. And other problem that always happens is when recruiters disappear, when they
Oh,
never, or they,
ghosting.
yeah, or they don't give feedback after the interview.
Mm,
For me,
mm,
this is horrible.
same.
It's such a bad practice.
Yeah, I totally agree. And but like one of the most interesting parts of a bad interview, right? If we can say, imagine you've walked out of an interview and you instantly know it wasn't great and you didn't get the job, right? One of the most interesting things you can do is ask for your feedback because it allows you to analyze, okay, where did I go wrong? Sometimes it's really obvious, other times it's not. Now,
Yeah.
typically the recruiter should provide that information for you, but if they don't be scared to hunt for it. Don't be scared to ask for it. And if you're not hearing from the recruiter, reach out to the hiring manager and ask them and say, I've actually reached out to your colleague. I am awaiting some feedback. In the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts on how the interview went. But when a recruiter disappears, Tana, what is your advice to your candidates or your clients in terms of reaching out?
Well, I always say disappearing, it is already an answer.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, because if the recruiter is not getting back to you, which means it's a no,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
totally bad practice.
mm-hmm,
I would, you know, like recommend to send an email following
mm-hmm.
up
Yeah.
and requesting, you know, like for feedback or
Mm-hmm.
for more information, because sometimes they, you know, like send a message saying like, hi, can we set up an interview? When are you available? And they disappear. And the
Yeah.
candidate answered back saying like, look, I'm free this week. Any afternoon, or, you know, like, I don't know, Monday
Mm-hmm.
morning. And they just disappear. Most
Mm-hmm.
recruitment agencies, you know,
Yeah.
recruitment consultants. So
Yeah.
what I recommend is send a message again asking, hi, I have, you know, like emailed you or messaged you 3 days ago and I didn't get any response from you. Is everything okay? Anything I could do, you know, like to um
To get this over the line or
play. And after that, you know, there's nothing else we could do.
yeah.
It is already answered, do you understand? But
Mm,
if it happens, you have to watch out for that particular company or that particular agency, because
mhm.
do that with the candidate, imagine what they do with the employees.
Yeah, absolutely. It is remember your first interaction from the pre-screening call is you getting an insight into a company and how it operates. So take notes.
Fabio. And yeah, so, you know, like, seriously, it's for me one of the worst things that could happen, like ghosts or disappearance.
Same.
Feedback. Always try to get a feedback on a phone, like really call the
Mm,
recruiter
mhm,
for feedback, because most of the times I would say 89 89% of
mhm,
the companies are now um just like giving no feedback. It's like
mm,
feedback is very vague. It's
yeah,
like, unfortunately, you didn't pass in the interview
yeah,
because you are not a cultural fit.
mm. It's an automated response, basically.
Yes, something like very vague,
Yeah.
which means they are not allowing your opportunity to grow,
Mhm, mhm,
candidate as a job seeker, and
mhm,
also they are actually protecting themselves because like before, some people used to they use this information to sue the company. Like
mm.
they
Yeah,
yes, that happened a lot.
okay,
A lot.
yeah,
Candidates sued companies because like they didn't pass the interview because of bias, because
mm.
of like any
Discriminatory factors.
information. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's always better to try to get the feedback over the phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very good idea. And make
Yes.
note, guys, if a recruiter, gives you the time and gives you that feedback and says, "Look, I really enjoyed speaking with you. It came down to the other candidate had more experience in this software," let's say. Make a note of that on your records, because then you know what you need to do. You can apply again in 6 months, but you need to get knowledge of that particular skill or that software. So flag with green the companies that, look, in 6 months I'm going to try again. And recruiters like to see candidates coming back to try again. It really demonstrates a sense of enthusiasm and motivation. So don't be scared, but equally, red flag, if you see a company has poor best practices, then it really does bring up a question about, is that where you want to work? Do you want to work somewhere that mistreats their staff from the very beginning? The answer is probably no.
Exactly. Yes. And what else? I think in regards to bad practices
Hmm.
in recruitment. Oh yes, um, when the recruiter messed up with dates, and
Oh, yeah.
yes, or like address, or like
Yeah.
um, time zones. It happened to me,
Yes.
and
Yeah, it happened to me as well.
it happens.
Yeah.
Like recruiters, they make mistake. That's
Yeah.
why it's always good for always double check.
Always. The day before,
Oh,
send the email. Really looking forward to speaking to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, just to reconfirm,
just
because then you're
reconfirm.
doing everything in your power.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
it can happen. Or like um they like, I have done this so many times. Not so many times, actually once, in Sigma recruitment, when I used
Uh-huh.
to work as a consultant. I double booked two clients.
Mm, it happens. It's
Oh,
unfortunate, but it can
oh my
happen.
God. It's and it's such a horrible feeling when you open the
Yeah.
door and your two clients there waiting for you for interview, and I'm like, and it happens.
Yeah,
But
it
it
does.
is practice.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, I think, as well, just touching on one of the comments we made at the start of the conversation about where it's external recruitment. External recruiters, guys, just to give you an insight into that world, it is high volume, fast paced, competitive, exhausting work. So those recruiters, they have, a lot of the times, I know I used to eat my lunch at my desk. There was no time to step away from the desk. It is the most high intensity environment. So sometimes it's not even about the recruiter not, adhering to best practice. It's simply that they're under serious pressure. So always keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. So Fabio said, because recruiters feel guilty and will work harder to place you in the job.
Mm,
Um, so he's saying That's true. Very motivational. Some recruiters hold back feedback to avoid any further complaining over their phone facilitates to get a feedback. Yes, because
Mm-hmm.
Fabio used to be a recruiter,
Yeah.
but then it's an opportunity for the candidate because the recruiters feel guilty and we work harder to place you in a job. Yes,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think it's a really good point actually, because anywhere we know, guys, we live in a digital time. Okay. So if you want, you can exist as an email. Okay. You can be a number. When you've spoken on the phone to someone, you become a person again. You hear the voice, you build a relationship. So it
Exactly.
is about building a relationship with your recruiter and reminding them that you're not just another CV in a database, you're a real person with real skills who really wants this job. So you've got to go in as they're selling the job, you've got to go in and pitch and sell yourself, and you have to be a convincing sale as well. So any opportunity, you have to bring the humanity back to your application. It's always
Yes.
worth it.
And you know what I don't like as well? Like some recruiters, they, because of the job, the way of, recruitment is,
Mm-hmm.
they just become a little bit, how can I say, ice cold heart.
Yes. Yeah, like sharks.
Like sharks, like they don't give a damn about your life, about your
Yeah.
personal life, about anything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. They're,
boom, 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 boom. Like numbers. If this
yeah.
candidate is good, it's bad. His interview is shit. This person is horrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to hear my colleagues, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What? There are
Yeah. These are
people."
real. Yeah, exactly. They're human beings. We're not dealing with.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I
what?
would say another thing, guys, try to keep your personal life out of it. So, for example, if you have a gap on your CV, don't get into the story with the recruiter about, raising your babies or about looking after someone sick. Think about what you can do to sell that time. Did you take a course? Did you travel the world? Did you learn a new language? You got to think in facts. As Tana said, the personal touch is somewhat removed because recruitment is so fast paced and so highly competitive. You've got to be factual. You've got to be to the point, and there's no room to be overly personal either.
Yes, exactly. And I believe as well it depends on the industry and the role.
For
Like if
sure.
it's, yeah, if it's like healthcare, or
Hmm.
a job where it has to care or be very, like it like psychology, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yes, the recruiter or the person who is recruiting is looking for someone very caring,
Yeah,
someone
very soft.
gentle,
Mm,
soft. But if you are in the business,
or
corporate,
sales. Yeah. And have your facts ready. Like we said, they're busy people. They don't have time. If you're in sales, get facts ready. What were you billing? What were your accounts reaching? Did you overachieve? Get percentages. If you're a techie, get your technologies right at the top of your CV. Don't waste their time. Be super efficient when dealing with third party recruiters. It is a different approach. We go into this quite a lot in our fast track consulting, where we break down the difference between external and internal and the approaches to take. But if you're dealing with third party or external, to the point, don't waste time, make everything applicable. If they make mistakes on their side, that's their issue, but you do everything on your side to have your application as seamless as possible.
and be careful what you say, because
Mm.
sometimes you can become the joke in the recruitment department. You know that.
Oh yeah, I know. It's
You know
terrible.
that. Recruiters are terrible, guys.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Oh yeah.
You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Listen, it's a hard work job, so they take their laughs where they can find them, and sometimes that's at the
Yeah.
expense of the wrong people. But but look, it is about reminding yourself that if you do encounter a recruiter whose best practices are not great, or who is not making you feel valued, it is about you taking the ownership over your application,
Yes.
driving the conversation, being assertive, being direct but professional. And if you feel that something's off, or the person doesn't seem sincere, or the person is rude or losing respect, feel free to walk away from the table. You are not obliged to give your CV to
Yes.
anyone. So feel the relationship, see how it goes before you commit yourself to any process.
Yes. And I know some candidates, they really don't like the way the interview goes. Just and I know by, you know, like you feel, you know, by, you know, like
Mm,
the middle of the end of the interview, you really didn't get the job and you really
yeah,
didn't click with the recruiter. I would definitely say straight away to the recruiter, like, I'm really sorry, but I believe you're being rude with me. And
totally.
you are being rude,
Totally.
you're not respecting me, and
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable in this interview.
Yeah. 100%.
Uh-huh. Yes, I would definitely say
100%. Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd be the same. Once you say it in a way, when deliver it as Tana just did there. Look, I'm really sorry, but I don't feel this conversation is very respectful. I'm
mm,
not getting the best feeling after this conversation. I think I would like to retract my application, or maybe I can deal with another member of your team. Don't
yes,
be scared to be assertive.
don't be scared. And to finish our live for today, guys, don't forget that now we have the GDPR.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's applicable to all Europe.
Yeah.
It's our data protection law. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not obliged to answer questions like, do you have kids? Are you married?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you can handle this job if you are married with kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
no.
Yeah, yeah, they can't ask that. And if they can, you're well within their rights to report them, because they should not be asking questions like that. That
Mm-mm.
does not reflect at all on your ability to do the job.
Exactly. Exactly.
So they would
Do
be
you have
some of
any
our big red
questions?
flags.
Yes, yes. Any questions before we finish this live? So if you have, Fabio, thank you very much for all your contribution.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us this evening. It's been so good to speak to you again this Monday evening.
Yes, it's like we've been, you know, like here just saying few things that we heard as
Hmm.
career consultant from our clients. Of course, there are plenty of more bad practices in the
Hmm.
market, and we know that unfortunately it is what it is. But again,
Yeah.
it's all up to us, as Shona
Yes.
said, taking control
Hmm.
of the process of our lives,
Yeah.
of our
Hmm.
career. Thank
Yeah.
you, Joanna.
Thank you. And guys, if you're a client or if you're working with us and you have come across something challenging and you're not sure how to manage it, ask us. We will always give you our opinion on how to manage tricky situations. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have doubts.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Shona, for
Thank
today.
you, Tana. Thanks everyone for joining us. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Take
You too.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye.